Everyone's pay should have been directly deposited this morning unless you are Oscar and elected for paper checks. Any issues? Yeah, I'm missing about $5 million. Any real issues? Damn. Good effort. Well, I might have an issue unless I misunderstood. I worked quite a bit of overtime, so I expected a bit more. Yes, I actually have your overtime check in my office. I wanted to talk to you about it first. Okay. Ooh, in trouble. You worked over 50 hours of overtime the last 2 weeks. I have that check here, but I thought you might want some other options. Well, what other options are there? Option 1 is the check itself. Option 2 is a magical blessing. Do you still have medical debt? No, I declared bankruptcy. It knocked out my credit but got rid of my medical bills. That would have let me keep the house if I'd been able to keep my old job. In that case, I can give you a blessing of housing. It's a specific type of luck and protection spell that I've been tinkering with the last couple of weeks and does take a bit of energy and or magical materials worth arguably more than your overtime check if I were to be cruel. Essentially, you would have your own roof over your head by the end of the month rather than having to rely on the goodwill of friends and family. Even with the bankruptcy. You could be hunted by every government agency in the world and not have a penny to your name, but you would still have your own home in weeks, rather than the months, if not years, it would take you otherwise. Well, I'll take option 2. I thought you would. Welcome to CaFae Latte. We've got all the pumpkin spice for you, as well as apple and maple varieties, if that doesn't float your boat.
Oscar? Good lord, I barely recognized you without the beard and the long hair.
Roger! Oh yeah, the kids over at the youth shelter helped me out. They wanted to dye my hair too, but I talked them out of it.
Should've let him have it. You still couch surfing?
Oh, hopefully not for much longer. The fairies are magically helping me with that in exchange for overtime. What about you?
Oh, I finally got into a group home. Fewer people than the shelter, less dangerous, less time waiting for a bathroom to clear up.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Don't I know it. Hey, think you can sneak me a coffee?
I don't have to sneak you anything. You see the sign there? We have something called a neighbor account. Some customers add $1 or $2 to the account in a pay-it-forward manner so that others like you can get a coffee and pastry. You just charge it to the neighbor account. We usually have at least $100 or so in there. But don't you get something with dairy? I don't want to have to clean out the bathroom afterwards.
But the 4-cheese scone looks so good.
Roger.
Fine, I'll take a coffee and, dealer's choice on the pastry. Nothing too sweet, though.
I'll get you one of those Dragonfire muffins. They're a bit too spicy for me, but vegan and crumbly, and we have dairy-free butter to go with it.
Mayonnaise is too spicy for you, old man.
Well, excuse you, I have a very delicate palate. Dark roast for you?
You got it. Hey, you guys hiring?
No, unfortunately, we're fully staffed, but I'll keep my eyes open for you. And be sure to check in with Lindsay. You know she has a spreadsheet of all the places in town, whether they're hiring and how willing they are to take one of us.
Oh, God bless Lindsay. And coffee beans. Thanks, Oscar. I'll see you around.
You take care of yourself, Roger. Excuse me, I'd like to speak with your manager. Of course, is there something I can help you with? No, I just need to speak to them. Well, all right, ma'am, wait here. Bob? Good morning. What's the issue? You need to fire this employee. Why would I do that? He's homeless. Oh dear. Let me be sure I understand correctly. You want me to fire my employee simply because he's unhoused? Obviously, you clearly didn't know, but I overheard him. Worse, he was talking to another homeless man and gave him a free coffee and muffin. That was Roger. I let him use the neighbor account where some customers add a little extra money so people like him don't have to be charged for a basic coffee and snack, unless I misunderstood that. No, you understood and utilized it perfectly. Did Roger act inappropriately? Bother any of the guests? They were talking about bathrooms. Well, he's lactose intolerant. I was simply telling him not to get anything with dairy so he wouldn't have to clean up after him. Nothing explicit or graphic was said. Well, still, you let one in here, you're bound to get others. Is this a coffee shop or a soup kitchen? It is my cafe, and as neither Oscar nor Roger have posed any threat or caused any offense, I fail to see why I should disallow either from entering my domain. They're homeless, they're lazy, and they steal, and they're probably drunk or on drugs. I do have a recovering addict on staff, but it's not Oscar. He's worked overtime for the last 2.5 weeks, and not a penny has been misplaced. Well, now, who would be foolish enough to steal from the hand that feeds you, never mind the faith? You'd be surprised. Well, still, it's not appropriate for him to work here. How on earth have you come to that conclusion? Well, like I said, this is a cafe, not a soup kitchen. This is the affluent part of town. People come here specifically so they don't have to deal with this.
Well, you came here yesterday and didn't have a problem then.
I didn't know you were homeless then. Look, Miss Manager, let him go, and then once he's back on his feet, if you really want him back, hire him then. And how would he get back on his feet without a job? Work somewhere else.
Well, it's much easier said than done. Granted, I'm over 150 and remember when you could just walk into a shop and have a steady paycheck for the next 20 years, but it's not like that anymore. And it's even worse when you don't have a home address or phone number.
Poverty, wages, and unemployment are also one of the greatest contributors to homelessness, especially when paired with the lack of affordable housing. If you don't want to lay eyes on an unhoused person, I suggest you leave and come back after some time passes. He'll have a permanent roof over his head by then. I appreciate what you're trying to do, but it's just not safe, and I am not comfortable. And I shouldn't be punished for bringing up some very valid concerns. You have yet to bring up any valid concerns. I should curse you with homelessness.
Oh, that's not necessary.
Are you certain?
Yes, ma'am. I think she just needs to learn to not make assumptions. Losing her home would be far too harsh in my experience.
As if you could. My husband makes 6 figures.
No, could you not tempt her, please? I think she likes challenges.
I do, but I prefer results. As you assumed ill of my employee, everyone you meet will assume the worst from you for a year and a day. After which you will be welcome back in my cafe. Now get out. You just lost yourself a customer. Do people usually speak to you that way?
When they know I'm homeless? Well, most people ignore me. Others, frankly, are worse. You weren't actually going to curse her with homelessness, were you?
No more than a month.
Bye, Miss Nicole.
Goodbye, everyone. Get home safe. Hi, it's Nicole. Jason left his noise-canceling headphones in my classroom. If he or his parents come looking, tell them I have them. I'll be in here for an hour. Yes, we just started on paints. Thank you. Hi, are you Miss Nicole? I'm Jason's mother. His headphones are on my desk. Oh, thank you. Wow, they made a mess. If you're not making a mess, you're probably not doing art right. Can I ask you something a little personal? I won't promise to answer. No, of course not. It's just... Jason talks about you all the time. Art is his favorite subject, and when he found out that you were autistic, just like him, he was so happy. Not every teacher is great about accommodations, but you've made this a safe space for him. Thank you. I try. So, when he got diagnosed a few years ago, I threw myself into research so I would know what to expect. My friends call me extra, my husband says I'm a nerd, but it works. And it also means that when my younger son, Henry, was 15 months, I started noticing the signs that he might also be autistic. Toe walking, flapping his hands and shaking his head when he's really excited, going into full tantrums or downright meltdowns when we go even a little off routine. And there are also less obvious ones, like lining up all of his toys, taking them down and then lining them up again, random bouts of zoomies, a slight delay in motor skills, speech and interpersonal skills. Anyway, I immediately booked him with a specialist to get a diagnosis, and the doctor said, well, he has a lot of the symptoms, but he makes and maintains eye contact, so it can't be autism. That doesn't make sense. Lack of eye contact is a symptom of autism, probably the most famous, but not necessarily a requirement. Thank you! And it's not just me. Henry's 4 now, so all the daycares, preschool teacher, counselors, regular physicians for yearly checkups, they've all mentioned something about him being autistic, and they're all stunned that he doesn't have a diagnosis. And I know it's just a label, at least that's what Jason says, but the lack of the label is keeping him from behavioral therapists and other resources that could help him. I managed to find a local university that'll screen him, but they have a 6-month waiting list. The preschool has been largely good about accommodating him, but I don't know how long that's going to last without an official diagnosis, so I guess I'm asking if you know of any other resources or ways that could help with that. And I want to make it clear, I'm not looking to cure either of my sons. I love the way they think and view the world. I just want to make sure they have everything they need to be happy, fulfilled, not screwed over by society?
Getting diagnosed is often weirdly difficult, partially due to stigma, partially misunderstanding, partially lack of funding and research or resources. There was a solid chunk of time where I thought I was a fairy changeling, not a human, because the lack of mainstream understanding let such a rumor gain ground. Remind me to show you Jason's Halloween pictures from last year. He did actually go as a fairy. That's awesome. I know a handful of local universities that might also do screenings, or at least know people who will, that I can email to you, but I mostly recommend going to the Stoughton Street Witches, where I volunteer. Not only do we have spells and artifacts that can directly help with autistic symptoms like oversensitivity and meltdowns, but they can also indirectly help. Charm for Good Health won't cure diabetes, for instance, but it will have you cross paths with a doctor who's able to best treat your diabetes in an affordable rate. And that seems to be what Henry needs right now. Thank you. I know it's not your problem. Don't forget the headphones. Right. I say this in the most respectful, professional way possible. Fuck me up, you caffeine cleric. Eldritch Smash or Arcane Blast? Whatever's gonna keep me awake the longest. That'd be the Arcane Blast. Fair warning, you do not drink it for the flavor. Taste means nothing to me. Fair enough, large is a $6.45. We are paying with gold coins. Okay, how much for those caffeine packets? $1, but unfortunately we can only sell one per drink for health reasons, so we don't get sued when you have a heart attack. Fine. New total is $7.45, I'll get that started. JC, when you get the chance, we're running low on blueberry muffin. Dude! Oh, hey, Blue, I haven't seen you since you were as tall as my waist. Gotta say, love this place way more than the little coffee cart you and the witch used back in the 80s. I thought this place was established in the 1960s. He means the 1880s. And yeah, I know, right? And we don't have to get into a gunfight every other week or shelter from sandstorms or risk dysentery. Oh, but the lemon drop candies peaked back then. Right. Here's the drink. Much obliged. Stay frosty, Blue. Blue? I've only been called Cyrus for like the last year. I had to use something, and my skin and hair are both blue. That is the weirdest thing I've heard all month.